The skin came off with the bandage. The entire sole of his foot peeled away like rubber, raw flesh underneath. Douglas Mawson was alone, 160 kilometers from safety, Antarctica, -40 degrees. Both partners dead, dogs dead, food gone, and his body was destroying itself. Hair falling out, skin sloughing off in sheets, nails gone. Poison. He had poisoned himself trying to survive. 30 days to cross frozen hell on feet with no skin. Every step tore them open. Every breath was agony. Stop walking, freeze to death. He did not stop. November 1912. Douglas Mawson stood at the edge of Commonwealth Bay, Antarctica, and looked east. Unmapped territory, unknown coastline. No human had ever walked there. Mawson was 30 years old, Australian, geologist, explorer. He had come to Antarctica to map the continent, to push into the blank spaces on the map where only ice and death waited. His expedition, the Australasian Antarctic Expedition, had established a base camp at Cape Denison. 18 men, supplies for 2 years, scientific instruments, ambition. Mawson organized sledging parties to explore different directions. He would lead the Far Eastern party himself. His team, Belgrave Ninnis, 23 years old, British officer, strong, reliable, in charge of the dogs. Xavier Mertz, 29, Swiss mountaineer and ski champion, experienced in extreme conditions. 3 men, 3 sleds, 18 dogs, food for 10 weeks. Their mission, travel east along the coast, map the terrain, collect geological samples, and return before the Antarctic winter locked them in. 500 kilometers, round trip. Simple on paper. On November 10th, 1912, they set out. The first weeks were hard but manageable. The dogs pulled the sleds, the men skied alongside. They made good progress across the ice. They encountered crevasse fields, massive cracks in the ice, some bottomless, hidden under thin snow bridges. They navigated carefully, roped together for safety. They took measurements, collected rocks, recorded weather data. This was exploration. This was science. By early December, they had traveled over 200 kilometers from base camp, farther than anyone had gone in this direction. Mawson felt good. The weather was holding. The dogs were strong. They had enough food. Then December 14th arrived, and everything ended.
December 14th, 1912. Afternoon. The 3 men were crossing a glacier. Ninnis was ahead, leading his sled with 6 dogs. Mawson and Mertz followed behind. Standard formation. They had done this 100 times. Mawson and Mertz crossed a snow bridge. Solid, safe, Ninnis followed. The snow collapsed. 1 second Ninnis was there. The next, he was gone. No scream, no sound, just gone. Mawson and Mertz ran back to the edge. A crevasse, deep, bottomless, a crack in the glacier descending into darkness. They shouted, "Ninnis! Ninnis!" No answer. They looked down. The crevasse walls dropped into blackness. 90 meters down, maybe more. They could not see the bottom. On a small ledge, 30 meters down, they saw something. 2 dogs, badly injured, whimpering. That was all. Ninnis was gone, and with him, The main sled, most of the food, the tent, spare clothing, tools, 6 dogs, gone, unrecoverable. Mawson and Mertz stared at each other. They were over 300 kilometers from base camp. They had maybe 10 days of food left, no tent, limited supplies, and the Antarctic winter was coming. "We have to turn back," Mawson said. "Now." They did not bury Ninnis. There was no body to bury. They said a prayer, took a few measurements to mark the location. Then they turned their sleds around and started the race against death. The return journey was immediate desperation. Mawson and Mertz had 6 dogs left, not enough to pull 2 sleds efficiently. They consolidated everything into one sled, abandoned the other. Every gram mattered now. They rationed their food, tiny portions, barely enough to survive. After a week, the food ran out. They were still over 200 kilometers from base. "We have to eat the dogs," Mawson said. Mertz, who loved animals, who had trained these dogs, who had named them, looked sick. But there was no choice. They shot the weakest dog first, skinned it, cut the meat, cooked it over a small stove. The meat was tough, stringy, but it was food, protein, calories. They ate, and they kept walking. Every few days, another dog was killed, eaten. The sleds got lighter. The men got weaker. But something else was happening, something they did not understand. The dog liver. They ate it because it was food, rich, fatty, full of vitamins. But dog liver, especially husky liver, contains toxic levels of vitamin A. Too much vitamin A causes hypervitaminosis A, poisoning. Symptoms: skin peeling off, hair falling out, nausea, dizziness, internal pain, hallucinations. Mawson and Mertz did not know this. They ate the liver, and the poison built up in their bodies. By early January 1913, both men were sick. Mertz was worse. His skin started peeling. His hair fell out in clumps. He could not keep food down. He was weak, delirious. "I can't go on," Mertz said one morning. "You have to," Mawson said. But Mertz was beyond encouragement. His body was shutting down. The poison was winning. On January 7th, 1913, Mertz had a seizure. He thrashed in his sleeping bag, screamed, then went still. He died that night. Mawson was alone. Mawson sat in the small tent, a makeshift shelter he had constructed from a spare tarp, and stared at Mertz's body. He was alone, completely alone. 160 kilometers from base camp. No dogs left, no partner, almost no food, and his own body was falling apart. The vitamin A poisoning was destroying him from the inside. His skin was peeling off. His hair was gone. His nails fell off. His feet were a disaster. When he unwrapped his feet, the skin came with the bandages, the entire sole, just off. Raw flesh underneath. Every step was agony. But he had 2 choices, walk or die. He cut the tent in half, used part to bury Mertz under snow and rocks, took the rest as his shelter. Then he started walking, 160 kilometers, alone, in Antarctica. The next 30 days were a descent into hell.
Mawson walked 10 hours a day, sometimes more. His feet were destroyed. He wrapped them in bandages, fur, cloth, anything to cushion the exposed flesh. Every step tore them open again. His body was starving. He had some food left, dog meat, a little pemmican. He rationed it to almost nothing, a few bites per day. His mind started breaking. Hallucinations. He saw Mertz walking beside him, saw rescue parties, heard voices. None of it was real. The weather was brutal. Blizzards, whiteouts, -40 degrees, wind that knocked him down. Crevice fields everywhere. He had to navigate them alone. One wrong step, and he would fall into the ice, like Ninnis. And then it happened. He was crossing a snow bridge. It collapsed. He fell. The sled, attached to him by a rope harness, caught on the edge, held him. Mawson dangled in the crevice, feet hanging over nothing, the abyss below him. If the rope broke, he died. If the sled slipped, he died. He hung there, exhausted, freezing. Every part of him wanted to let go, to just stop fighting. It would be easy. Just release the rope, fall. It would be over in seconds. But something in him refused. He started climbing, hand over hand, using the knots in the rope. His fingers were frostbitten, his strength almost gone, but he climbed, inch by inch. After what felt like hours, he pulled himself over the edge, collapsed on the snow, lay there, breathing, alive. Then he stood up and kept walking. January 1913, late in the month. Mawson could see the coast. He was close now, maybe days away from base camp. Hope surged through him. He would make it. Against all odds, he would make it. He reached a cache of supplies they had left on the outward journey. Food, a note. The note was from the base camp team. Ship departing February 1st. If you do not return by then, we must assume you are lost. Mawson checked the date. It was January 29. He was 3 days away from base, maybe 4 in his condition. He pushed harder, walked longer, ignored the pain. On February 1st, he reached a cairn near base camp. Another note. Ship departed this morning. 6 men remain to search for you through winter. Supplies at base. The ship had left hours earlier. Mawson stood there, staring at the note. He had walked 160 kilometers alone, survived starvation, poisoning, crevasse falls, blizzards, and he had missed the ship by hours. He would be trapped in Antarctica for another year. But he was alive. The 6 men who stayed were shocked when Mawson walked into base camp. They had assumed all 3 men were dead. Ninnis, Mertz, Mawson. But here was Mawson, barely recognizable, skeletal, skin peeling, hair gone, feet wrapped in bloody rags. "My God," one of them whispered. Mawson collapsed. They carried him inside, fed him, treated his wounds. He recovered slowly over the winter. The ship returned in December 1913. Mawson and the others sailed home. When he arrived in Australia, he was a hero, but he was also a ghost. He had lost 30 kilograms. His feet never fully healed. He suffered from the effects of vitamin A poisoning for years. But he survived. Ninnis and Mertz did not. They were buried in Antarctic ice, their bodies still there. But Mawson walked out. He had crossed 160 kilometers alone, in the worst conditions on Earth, poisoned, starving, feet destroyed. Medical experts said it was impossible. But Douglas Mawson did it anyway, because the alternative was dying in the ice, and he refused. Douglas Mawson returned to Antarctica multiple times, led more expeditions, mapped more coastline. He was knighted, became Sir Douglas Mawson, taught geology at the University of Adelaide for decades. He died in 1958 at age 76, surrounded by family, warm, safe. But he carried Antarctica with him forever. The ice, the wind, the faces of Ninnis and Mertz. His story is not just about survival. It is about what humans can endure when everything is taken from them. His feet peeled off, his body poisoned itself, his partners died, his rescue left him without him, and he still walked 160 kilometers across Antarctica, alone. Douglas Mawson proved that the human will to survive can overcome impossible odds, that the body will break before the spirit does, that even in the coldest, most hostile place on Earth, one man can refuse to die. And sometimes that is enough.